Well, hopefully everyone's had a little bit of time just to get to know each other, grab a coffee. We do have bits of food in the middle of the table and there is more coming, so we're looking to keep this very relaxed and comfortable today, so feel free to grab at food as we go. So I think we'll all agree it feels pretty good to get back to physical events. I know this is the first time we've seen some of you out at a physical event in a while, so thank you for coming out. It suddenly feels very normal again, in an odd way. And today's session, we are very lucky to be joined by both Jeremy and Sarah from Attest. I think whenever there's a title of how can business leaders be right more of the time, I think it draws you in, and certainly did me. I think if there's one way to be losing time and money like it's going out of fashion, it's taking guesses at things, particularly when it comes to our marketing. So I think we're excited to get into it a little bit today. I know, Jeremy, you do have a bit of a game or a quiz for us today, which we'll get into in a minute. But I'll tell you what would be great. It'd be great just to get to know who's around the table. So if we could go around and just quickly do name, company, and to give us a bit of context for the quiz afterwards, if we could say, what is your favourite subscription, no matter how obscure, the more embarrassing the better, okay? Just to set some context for the game afterwards, so give you a bit of an idea, I'll go first. So my name's James Sutcliffe, I lead the Family Network. For me, one of my favourite subscriptions at the minute is Luke's Sowermo company. I'm sure many of you have met Luke through the various sessions. But they do subscription grass fertiliser, which I never thought I'd be in the market for, but just moved house and suddenly care about grass as you do. So, which is a battle when you have a Labrador all over it. So yeah, Sowermo is up there for me. I'll pass them to my left. No pressure.
So my name's Andy. Run a business called Car Share, which is like an Airbnb for cars, just enabling private car owners to rent their cars to neighbours nearby. I haven't got one. So my favourite subscription, I can't really match that one, sorry. My favourite subscription is Disney Plus, or whatever that Disney channel is. I'm a real kid at heart, and I love to escape into all the Marvel and everything else that's there, WandaVision, you name it. So that's my favourite, because I can do that. The kids don't know it exists yet, so it's even better.
It's all yours.
The funny thing is you actually knew fully what it was, and you clearly used it quite a lot, but it starts with Disney, whatever it's called. I know exactly what it is. Anyway, that's me. Perfect. Going around.
Hey guys, my name is Hamid. I work for Peloton, with last mile delivery company. My favourite subscription is a little bit boring, but I quite enjoy it. It's called Fenemize. I'm not sure whether you guys know it. It just gives you like 5 minutes bullets and what's going on. I have a little recorder, so my time is literally for her. So if I can get good information, that's nothing to go to. Cool.
Yeah, my name is Christian. I run a digital pharmacy called Medino. The subscription I thought was Harry's, and the reason is we sell razors in my pharmacy, but it's just like if you find something that works even better than your own business, I think that's something to take inspiration from. And I've seen it marketed like for probably 2 years and buying from our own business, but then I tried it out and I was like, this is really, really good. So yeah, me.
I'm Will, I'm community manager at TFN. Subscription-wise, during the first couple of lockdowns, had to fill my board with something, so I started ordering the wine subscription each month, and then unfortunately I'm that guy who gets the discount at the start and it cancels straight away. So yeah, got to squeeze everything.
What every marketer wants to hear.
Hi everyone, my name is Nigel. I'm the founder at Worley. We're a toy sharing company. So as you may know, shortage of toys this Christmas. If you're looking for a gift for your loved one for us, we stocked out quite a lot of toys in our warehouse. I'm a real film buff. I used to love film. It was one of my favorite subscriptions back when they used to send out DVDs. I also really like Blu-ray and DVD. I think can be the quality you get on there versus Netflix, versus Amazon Prime, and even Disney Plus, is what we have to say. So Love Film used to be, unfortunately, doesn't really exist anymore. Used to be my favorite subscription just because you can get the physical DVD and get high quality as well.
And then just to be fair, is Worley subscription or is that more?
Yes, subscription as well.
We need to chat. I've got a 1-year-old who goes through toys like that.
Love Film became Amazon Prime.
Yeah, that's right.
What a story that is.
Hi everyone, my name is Rob. I work head of marketing at a company called Reality Gaming. We work in something called DeFi, which is sort of blockchain related things, but we're doing blockchain video games. So our big thing is a license with Doctor Who trading card game, which is also NFTs. That's a mouthful. I'm working on the elevator pitch, but it's kind of a very specific industry. As far as subscriptions go, I guess I'll be boring and say Spotify, just because it's absolutely changed my life. I don't remember a time when I had to think about getting music on my phone and worry about it. And I use it for hours every day. So it's just become one of those subscriptions that just become so ingrained in your daily habits that you barely even think of it as a subscription.
Is that podcast as well, or just music?
I actually don't use it for podcasts for no reason at all. I just have a podcast app, and I just use that, even though all of them are on Spotify, and it would make much more sense.
I love that. If someone from Spotify was here, I'd love half that answer, I'd be horrified at the other half.
I'm Jeremy, CEO and founder of Attest. We'll talk more about what Attest is a bit later. My favourite subscription is called Non-Atonda. It's a fresh pasta delivery company. It's kind of like the Crystal Palace of pasta delivery companies. You can only choose one of two things each week. It's amazingly fresh, things that you would never choose yourself, and they kind of force these choices upon you, and it expands your horizons on pasta shaped sauces choices and different regions of Italian cuisine. And I think it's kind of the up-and-comer against pasta evangelists and all the others, and I kind of like receiving each month. I feel like I'm helping them grow, which is nice. Would recommend it to anyone. Also, please use my loyalty code and I'll
well played.
Yeah, they do a good job on that.
I'm Emily, I'm from Higher Street. We're a fashion rental company. So for mainly female occasion wear, so if you're going to a wedding or an event, you would rent a dress from us, and yeah, circular economy of dresses. You guys have both stolen mine, so I was going to say Spotify, because same, it's just so part of my life, and then I was actually going to say pasta evangelist. So I'll have to try Non-Atonda. Is it better?
Never tried. Well,
Okay.
of pasta.
Yeah, no, I mean, I got it, the first time I got it, we got like free Aperol spritzers with it, so that was kind of, that's how I got me in. Yeah, you have to, I think you win with those free gifts at the beginning, but I'll try Non-Atonda next.
Hi everybody, I'm Pierre, Marketing Director of Terra Virtua. We are a 3D social immersive digital collectibles platform, also based on blockchain, do NFTs, etc. So I was going to say Disney Plus as well, but I'm going to go slightly controversial and say I've got too many subscriptions in my life and I do not want any more.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Hi everybody, I'm Sarah and I'm head of content at Attest. I'm going to go for my subscription to the exciting world of toilet paper. So I subscribe to Who Gives a Crap. They are fantastic. I'd recommend them to anyone. So it's all recycled toilet paper. It's great for the environment. It's delivered in obviously recyclable materials, and it comes straight to your house. It arrives kind of every 4 months. It's wrapped in really fun, brightly coloured paper, so it looks nice in the bathroom. And I just don't have to think about it. You don't have to lug the 12 toilet paper from the shops, and I just find it convenient, good for the environment and fun.
Do they have the out of home campaign at the minute that is you only need this many toilet papers and it's, I didn't count them, but 6
Yeah,
or something
I see them
like
advertised everywhere. I mean, their name is obviously what hooks me in. I thought it was fun.
that.
It's great, isn't it? But honestly, I love their service. It's awesome.
Nice. It gives a shit, man.
Yeah, they probably wanted to go there.
Hi everyone, I'm Miles, I'm Customer Director at Yourzuki. We're a premium liquid supplement brand. My favourite subscription, so I'm probably a bit biased, but my favourite subscription is our own subscription. So that's of our vitamin C and turmeric. So the reason we're special is because rather than normal vitamins, which often pass through your system because vitamin C is water soluble, we wrap them in things called phospholipids. So it protects in your gut and means you absorb it over a long period of time. And it also tastes nice, so it's something you look forward to taking every single day. And I take turmeric because my knees are knackered from playing too much tennis and rugby, and vitamin C because I'm working too many hours.
Turmeric for the knees, I'm going to write that.
Hi, I'm Ellen, I'm from Better Nature.
Yeah.
We make tempeh-based products, so we say tempeh is like tofu but with bite. And it's an Indonesian product, and we're hoping to bring it to the mainstream in the UK. And my favourite subscription, it's probably a bit of a boring one, but it's small. I don't know if you've heard of it. Like
It's got small, is it?
The detergent.
Yeah, exactly, the detergent. Just because it literally comes through your letterbox, you don't need to worry about like being in, just comes through and it just is like laundry detergent that just comes every month. It just makes life a lot easier. So yeah, a bit of a boring one, but a very useful one.
Makes a lot of sense. Some interesting ones and some ones I definitely wasn't expecting. but there you go. So look, as I say, today we really want to be an open conversation. I think we all know we could do with more insights, but I suppose more importantly, what can we do with those insights? So one of the conversations we want to have later on today is, if you could ask your customers one question, what would it be? And embarrassingly, that might be a question we've not asked ourselves before. So have a bit of a think about that as we go today, and we'll come on to it. I'll hand over to Jeremy, who I should say obviously runs Attest, but is a founder of a high growth business as well, so has that mindset. So it'd be interesting to hear a bit more from you today. So over to you, Jeremy.
Happily, and let me sort of share why we're here as well. So we at Attest exist to help inform every intuition and dissolve any doubt when it comes to understanding your target customers better. We believe that many businesses are very good at understanding your existing customers. There's lots of tools to help with that. We're also really good, many of us, at understanding your kind of operating data, financial data, etc. The bit that's missing for most businesses is your target customers and trying to understand them better, why they make their choices, what makes them choose a competitor over you. A subscription management company exists in the US that solves your problem of, I have too many subscriptions, I'm going to start deleting them. Is that a threat? Are we going to win or lose in that environment? How do we adapt to it? And we think at Attest that all of your biggest questions can be answered by your target customers if only it was easy to ask them. And we exist to make that really easy. And I'll bring it to life a bit, but let me explain why we're here. We are here basically to share a few ideas based on research that we've done in the form of some slides that we've got where we're going to guess what matters most to American consumers, 2,000 of them, when it comes to subscription companies looking into the year 2022. And there's some really quite weird things that Americans want and love and need that we can probably learn from here that might change the way some of us do business tomorrow, which is quite fun to learn from. But more importantly, to learn from each other. So we wanted to convene this event. We have the same philosophy for all events that we take part in, where this is much more about learning from each other. So we're here more to provide some data, have some crazy stuff to talk about, and we'll finish on the best possible subscription box that doesn't yet exist according to American consumers, and also the worst possible subscription product that should never exist and that should go straight to hell.
And does that exist at the minute?
It really, really shouldn't. And if it does, I'll be so surprised.
It's that toilet paper one.
It's so much worse than toilet paper. But wanted to start by sharing an example of some of the things we're looking at here. One of our clients is Bloom & Wild. Maybe you know them, big subscription company. They do flower delivery. They use our product for a whole bunch of stuff, measuring trends in different markets, looking at different competitors, testing out ideas, M&A, things like that. But they had this idea about Valentine's Day. They had this idea that people at Valentine's Day who receive red roses, they kind of know that it's a bit of a last minute and lazy choice. People who receive red roses, they think, you probably picked this up at the gas station on the way here. You probably spent 80 quid and it's worth to me 10. This is the most obvious default option choice, and it's like, giving Quality Street at Christmas. No one's unhappy, but it's not really an original choice and it doesn't really celebrate the occasion best. They had this intuition that people thought that. So they did some research and they found out that, people who receive red roses, they absolutely hate receiving red roses. It's the worst possible choice you can make. But yet this is the #1 selling SKU at Valentine's Day. This is the #1 product, red roses. They then asked people who give red roses, mainly men. They said, when you give red roses, what are you doing? They're like, gas station, last minute, 80 quid. I know it's also very unsustainable. There's this huge bloom in red rose production. The rest of the year it's all fallow. It's actually the worst possible product you can give, and it gives the worst possible experience to the recipient. So Bloom & Wild took this so far that they actually banned selling red roses at Valentine's Day. They took the #1 selling SKU that every single one of their competitors was promoting as the thing to give at Valentine's Day, and because they stand for making the best out of every occasion using flowers, they delisted the #1 SKU. That got them a 4 times year-on-year revenue increase in the Valentine's Day period by making this incredibly bold, counterintuitive move. And this is the type of stuff that we wanted to uncover today. So what we've got on the screens in front of us, and we're going to divide into little groups around the screens because they're quite hard to read if you're really far away. we've got 3 slides here about things that American consumers want from subscription companies. Stuff about loyalty programs, stuff about service levels, stuff about delivery options, and a few other things. So we're going to start by looking at the first slide, and I'd love each group or individuals to think what is ranked out of these lists the best and worst thing for consumers according to 2,000 American consumers. And if you feel strongly or passionately or have a strong opinion about any of these, please just wave and we'll talk about it, because this is a great chance to learn from each other. But we'll start with these 3 here. So take a minute to read them. The first one is about what causes you to take out a subscription. There are loyalty schemes, there are discounts. The second one is about the product itself. Is it about quality? Is it about personalization? The last one is about delivery. But what is it that you think causes Americans to really love a subscription product or really hate it? Okay, does anyone have a chance to talk about these? And does anyone have anything specific they want to talk about that they feel very passionate is not the best or worst answer? Or any examples anyone wanted to share?
This is so high quality.
Here's the next one.
Why don't you start?
What do I start with?
Oh, sorry.
That's quite specific. Yes, we've got flexibility here.
Sorry,
so we're going to start with the group on the left, on my left, which is like, what's something you talked about that was interesting or unique, or where you disagreed, or you feel particularly passionate that this is definitely the best or worst choice according to consumers? From the first page, please.
It was the first page.
Oh, yeah, we didn't move on beyond that. We were having a good old chat. One thing we were talking about the sort of what is important for people when choosing a subscription service was personalization and how it can be quite polarizing. So I think for some people who just want to get to the checkout and be done super quick, having to explain what you want and go through a process of setting up a personal profile might be quite a deterrent. But for people that are more keenly interested, maybe you're evangelists, they're going to love it, and to your point, they'll probably be stickier if you've got that more personalised offering. So quite a sort of important for some of your customers, but not for all.
And from a subscription perspective, if it's not a subscription, you might as well, if it's not personalised, you just go to a shop and buy it, or it's just any other thing you do on an ad hoc basis. But so like that, it really nails the subscription elements of it, the personalisation. But it means, oh yeah, that's the reason I've got a subscription. So there's so many companies out there. There's like Tails.com, there's Wild, there's Nourished, there's all these, and it's all hyper personalised subscriptions, which is really interesting. I'm not sure how big it is in the US at the moment, but I think it's growing.
What about over here? What were the points of contention or things that were particularly interesting in your conversation?
If we look at the middle part, like I think that we discussed different services, because that was really hard to map out because of depending on really what it is you're buying. So then I think that what we went for, we talked about value for money as like one, because it's just in any buying decision that's sort of what we'd be going for, and we couldn't really find something that mapped that properly. But also we talked about just the ease of use, amending orders and managing it, even though you are subscribed to it.
Yeah, we deliberately created these so that they're all really close to each other and almost impossible to distinguish. Like, do you want free delivery or do you want to pick up from a local store? That's quite hard to distinguish. So forcing consumers to rank these things actually gets them to tell us which ones actually matter most relative to the others. And if you were going to do one thing, what should it be? Which is quite fun.
But was there any sort of example of what type of service they were subscribing to? Because that's sort of that makes it really hard.
Deliberately left out. This is across a subscription company and how it's going to work well for you. What about here? I'll look at you 3. What were the things that you remembered most or that stood out?
So on the first one, the bits that I think resonated positively for most of us were the trial month, or getting something free as you sign up. So you're getting something for doing something. I think we would mix about celebrity influencers, whether we believe that the hype was really bullshit, does it really matter? And then we recognise we might be too old to answer that question. So that's on that about. I'm not sure you want to add anything.
I think the other bit in our group was just the referral piece, wasn't it? I think we all sort of agreed that a referral is really impactful if they've actually used it, maybe shown you the product. But if it's so you can both buy the product at a cheaper rate, then I think
referrals help, right? But you need to have customers to refer people. Exactly. So it's not quite as helpful for a first setup process, right?
You mentioned particularly when it's like a very high value subscription where it's expensive or something that you've never really experimented before, referral really helps overcome that barrier.
Yeah, absolutely. I brought up Stitch Fix as an example of like a really high value subscription service that you really need to have someone say, no, this does work. Because there's also, with one like that, even the proof of the service is like, can you really fit me with clothes without having seen me? And there's a lot more barriers to entry with it.
What is that one, sorry?
Stitch Fix is a subscription clothes service. So it works out, they send you clothes, like 5 items of clothing every month. You give them your measurements, but they send you 5 items, and then it's one of those really like difficult decisions that you make, because you send it back if you don't want it, but if you don't send anything back, you get 25% off the whole order. So even if you get like 3 things you want, and then you get 2 things, and then the 20%, you're normally talking about 50 quid. So one of those things that you don't want is probably 30 quid anyway. So you're like, well, if I send that back, I'm going to get £10 back. So you end up keeping clothes that you're like, maybe. I'm a sucker for Stitch Fix, actually. It's a surprisingly good service, considering it was a service that I never would have purchased had my brother, who obviously has the same genetics as me, was like, look, these clothes fit.
Well, let's have a look at the results. So let's go forward 3 pages to the first page of the answers. Wow. So one more page. Thank you. Yeah, and one more page. So here's the detail, and I'm going to add one bit of voiceover, which is the women, this is men and women mixed together 50-50. Female respondents had the same results in the exact same order, but far more powerful deviation between first and last. And even in the top 3 were way ahead of everything else. So in the first one, the promotions are all pretty similar, actually.
I just want to clarify, if you're top of the list, lower number, that means you're first.
Yeah, so that is, this is your average ranking position according to consumers. So top of the list is best, bottom of the list is worst. So we were all right. No one gives a shit about celebrities and influencers. Right at the top is a discount, the most immediate and most tangible reward. Customers, again, in all our research, D2C companies, subscriptions, talk a lot about unboxing and talk a lot about brand purpose and mission and value. Most customers don't care. Most customers care about value, and they care about the most immediate value possible. And that's why 50% off first delivery is by far the number one when it comes to promotions. When it comes to product, personalization really important, but only after quality and ease. I was in Dallas 2 weeks ago at a big subscription company event, and everyone there was talking about, particularly for your example about, was it Flow, the detergent company? Small, yeah. They had all sorts of examples about how level of customization to when you move between different houses, when you have different guests in your house, you might need more or less laundry detergent. Ability to change your subscription over time, that's really important, but still ranks behind quality and ease. Last one, free delivery, number 1. We had a little discussion about how that can be gamified, and I love that Stitch Fix has taken that even further on the reverse, the free returns discount if you have a certain behavior that we want. At the bottom, pick up from a local store. Very popular for some consumers, but actually dead last for others. And these are American consumers, which is why they're less and less familiar to us. And if it's interesting, we could run this whole thing again in the UK later today. Happy to share a link around if that's useful for everyone in the room.
On that quickly, do you have any data on letterboxable shipping? Is that something that's really sought after, just because they don't need to worry about being at home, and it's just
we can
see it
do that.
Wow, they're the big boys in that.
Where it's definitely fits your letterbox first time.
We're trying to do it at the moment, redesign all our packaging so it is all letterboxable.
Well, it's not a thing for US consumers. They don't have letterboxes. They've got mailboxes. So it's not relevant in this one, but we do always ask for the UK because it's a unique thing to us.
Mailboxes and porches.
Yes.
Although there is that big thing about the guy who makes the thing that dispenses glitter and makes like terrible smells, that if you steal it from his porch, like it goes off in your house and like spreads glitter everywhere, and he has 4 iPhones in there and he records it, and it like he does this kind of like he does like troll fishing, so he gets deliveries of Amazon, but it's actually 4 iPhones in a box that broadcast someone opening it, getting covered in glitter, and then getting sprayed with fart smell, and their reaction for stealing his shit, which I think is amazing.
I've never heard of that, but we'll find the link in the
we'll do
the rabbit hole of YouTube.
Just on this one, it's about subscription. Have you done research about just generally trying a new service or new product, and like would they rank similarly?
We've done a whole bunch on that. this is just about subscription products, to your point, without saying exactly what it is. This is more like the traits, the kind of genetics of the subscription product, without saying, you know, what the animal is. We've done a whole bunch of other research about promotions and campaigns and what causes specific generations to pick up specific things. We published a lot recently around Gen Z and millennials and specifically what they want, and then we've got a couple of things we publish around different sectors. Happy to share if it's helpful.
Yeah, that would be really helpful.
I can guess which sectors you're interested in.
Fashion, Gen Z.
Yeah, probably that.
Yeah.
Happy to send those around too, anyone interested.
Yeah, we sort of zoomed in on subscriptions, but we have much broader just D2C information and where you can be found, what they're looking for, that sort of stuff, and we have regular updates with that research so we can make sure everyone's got that information and the links are shared.
So we're going to go back
Sorry,
to...
Jeremy,
oh,
if
yeah.
I may move on. A slightly boring and maybe controversial question. I'm a real stickler for research methodology. I understand this is all stated importance, not derived importance of what consumers want. How do you square the difference between what consumers tell you is important to them versus what's actually important to driving their behavior?
Yeah, so we do a lot of work with clients on this exact point. So here we have what people say that they want, and then, to your point, behavior is often quite different. But when it comes to specific traits and specific preferences, you can put out a set of real choices and get consumers to choose between them. So, for example, we'll look at, if we go to the second page, this question about pricing strategy. These pricing strategies are all exactly the same. They all come out to about a 15 to 24% implied discount, depending on how you run the maths. But getting consumers to make this choice without knowing what the product is does give us a real read about, you know, what choice they would make when it comes to a product. So there are certain things that you can test really well using market research methods like this, like, you know, out of these campaigns, which one is most interesting to you. There's certain things you can't test, which is, you know, physically how much do you like this product, or how much do you shop here? Because, you know, we have receipt data, behavior tracking, GPS tracking in Singapore you were talking about earlier. Like the Singapore government knows where you're shopping, whether you like it or not, maybe, with your fitness tracker. That type of stuff, there is no replacement for real data, particularly receipts and consumers moving around stores and what they're actually buying. But when it comes to these ideas around celebrity influencers, good, bad, these different promotions, which ones matter most or least, those are really good things to test. There's a whole bunch of things that you can't test using market research. Let's do one more, which is the second page around pricing strategy. So, yeah, Sarah, would you mind going back a few pages to the one that has pricing on the left? No, back two more.
This one?
No, back. Questions to answers.
Oh, questions.
Yeah. So let's have a quick chat about these, and then we'll show the results on this, and then we'll take a quick break. So, pricing strategy on the left. Out of these offers, which are almost identical to each other, which ones do we think American consumers put first and last? And then on the right, when it comes to those sort of broader concepts, the attributes, sustainability, customization, helpful service, proactive suggestions. We heard a lot about subscription products that like tell you or advise you what you might want next, either based on your size or based on crazy pasta shapes. What do we think about each of those? And then let's break into groups again, and then we'll bring it back and have a chat about those. And I'm going to tell you that the prices on the left are basically the same, which is why they're hard to rank.
Nearly the same.
I'm going to start on the right this time. What did you guys think about each question that was controversial or where you had a disagreement?
I'm sure there's not much disagreement, to be honest.
Okay.
On the commitments, the pricing strategy, a little bit of a cheaper. We do a lot of this research at Worley ourselves because we do have a 1, 6, and 12-month subscription. We know that commitment scares our consumers, and we know it scares US consumers as well specifically. We also know that consumers are very bad at maths, so percent discounts are not very useful, to be honest. So I think what we discussed with 12-month commitment, especially if it's a new product, you've never done it before, you're probably not likely to kind of want to sign up, even though that gives a 2 months free or 20% discount. I think we all landed around kind of like, if it's new, 1 month commitment, it's quite nice because we try it, and then if you will, you just then cancel the stuff. Anyway, apparently it's what you do, right? And so, yeah, I think for us, you probably did something at low commitments and the consideration whether the low commitments offset by having 0% discount or which one's a bit more ways more important, so probably between that and something low commitment. And then on the other side, on consideration, we talk about flexibility. Again, I think in the mindset of like low commitment, and that will be quite important to consumers, especially for new subscriptions. And then lastly, we just chat around sustainability as well. Again, coming back to stated versus the rise of test, I think it's one of the areas where consumers always say that sustainability really matters to them, especially if it's for consideration. But then whether it actually drives a purchase decision or not, it's a bit harder to tell.
Completely. What about over here?
For the first one, we were kind of having a similar conversation around, definitely thought commitment kind of scared people, but also the same thing that a percentage discount can feel quite intangible, that people wouldn't necessarily that the percentage discount doesn't feel very tangible. People wouldn't necessarily be able to do the maths, and so we thought that if people are actually considering a subscription, probably A is a potential option, obviously, to keep it low commitment, but also get the benefit to draw them in, probably like C. But I think, as you said, they have to have some knowledge of what that's going to be and some trust, and ideally that would be referred by someone else, but we think C is really the most compelling one. And then for the second one, we had a few discussions around this. I think for us, definitely flexibility was most important. And we also thought sort of great reviews and trust in terms of also having good customer service and potentially D&E as well were important. But we were the sustainability, we thought that was more why someone would come to the website or be interested in that product, not it's not really what's going to get them to subscribe. And then same for sort of customizable and proactive. We didn't think they were as important as the others.
Here?
I think we're already quite similar.
Yeah, we're all very similar.
Yeah, it's similar. I think we ended up on C. Again, it's commitment versus value. I think we appreciate that one is low commitment. If you want to just get stuck in and try something and you like the product, you'll give it a try. On the attributes, do you want to? I hate just talking all the time.
Good at it.
What we talked about, A being, I think, fundamentally the most important, right? I think F can be really important on certain products, like the customization being one of the key things a subscription box can do for people. Tails, the dog food, is a good example of that I use. So because I've got multiple dogs, I can tweak it in a way that it's not just the subscription makes it easier, it's that the subscription makes it possible, which is a big difference when you're comparing it to just going to a shop. And yet we didn't think sustainability was probably that we would like it to be, but we didn't think it was going to be.
Sustainability, might be one of those things where people might say it, and then when it comes down to the actual buying decision, maybe it doesn't play quite as much.
Well, let's have a look at the results. And on this set is the second page of results. Oh wait, hang on, where do we have that? Oh yeah, it's the second page. So
they're opposite, aren't
they are inverted, so the first one is on the right, the second one's on the left. And this had huge variance by US region, city and state level. So particularly around this topic of sustainability on the left, coastal areas ranked that a bit higher, but in general for most consumers, to our discussion, sustainability is important, but not as important as flexibility, trust, customization and having good support. On the right, we all said that consumers can't do the maths, and really they can't. The worst offer on this page is 12 months commitment with 2 months free, other than the 1 month commitment with 0 discount. The word free is clearly by far the most evocative word in here, and the 12-month commitment with 2 months free is about a 16% discount, and 12-month commitment with 20% discount, which is obviously a 20% discount, is second last on this list. So consumers can't do the maths, and commitment does scare them off unless you put the word free alongside it, which I thought was absolutely amazing. And again, for this exact result set, there was the same ranking for men and women, but for female respondents, the result set was far more powerful in the ranking. 12-month commitment with the word free and the word free far more powerful for female respondents, particularly on the coast. Sustainability slightly higher for female respondents and higher on the coast, but still below flexibility, trust and customization everywhere, which was very interesting.
One thing we thought it might be interesting to talk about is, given the conversations we've had this morning, now thinking about it, what is the one thing you want real clarity from your customer on, in terms of if you could ask them anything, get that very honest answer, what would it be? And I suppose Nigel, do you want to kick us off? Obviously, you're in that subscription space, so probably most relevant. If you could ask your customers anything, get real clarity.
I was just saying to Jeremy before, we just done a 30-question survey. It was quite comprehensive, so we asked our customers a lot of questions already. But I think the one that, if I could, again coming back to that difference between stated and derived report, is asking consumers why they behave differently to how they tell us they behave, which I find really annoying, to be honest, because it makes obviously this job and the discussion we're having very, very difficult. Because often we do research, we then try something, and then the operating data doesn't match what the research is saying.
I guess the challenge with that is they probably don't.
Exactly. And so I find that a little bit different. But look, in a more straightforward way, the things that we do care about mainly is barriers to purchase. More specifically, I think probably for many of us, where short-term market traction kind of targets, that's always going to be the biggest thing that we care about, and we do ask continuously about reasons for not subscribing and whatnot.
Yeah, and I assume you have assumptions on that.
That's right.
In terms of, and are you confident in those assumptions, or are they something you're still battling with internally?
Fairly confident. It does change over time, obviously, as the brand grows and word of mouth goes around a little bit. But we're fairly confident on some of those because it's also validated by other data points that we have. And so we do generally try to do our research and make sure we validate against operating data as a gold standard, but then also validate with other kind of data points, hypotheses as well, as far as we can. And I think, not too dissimilar to some of the stuff we're talking about today. A lot of it does revolve around commitment, a lot of it does revolve around flexibility, convenience, and whatnot.
Nice. Who else has got an idea now of what they would want to ask their consumers, Pierre? I know your business is very different. So.
Well, I've just actually done some research. I'm pleased I found my three challenges I need to overcome. One of them is actually sustainability. And what we're seeing in the NFT space and blockchain space is this whole big thing about just environmental and Bitcoin mining, using up the same energy as Argentina in a year, all this sort of thing. And NFTs are very much bucketed with crypto coins and cryptocurrency simply because they're based on blockchain, but the reality is that they're tied, but they're not the same thing. So we get bucketed in that space. So one of those is about sustainability and producing and minting NFTs sustainably and using up much less energy than they have done in the past. So that's one of the key things. Then there's another bit about trust and comments coming back in the research of this is the biggest scam since Enron and all that sort of stuff. So it's about trying to say, well, actually it's not, and it's not just for people with millions of dollars to spend. It's very accessible. And then the third key point was around usability. Well, okay, so I've spent, let's say, $1,000 on a digital collectible. What do I do with it? Right? Why is this different from having a nice picture on my wall? What's the benefit for me to do this? So those are my three that I am going to be tackling. And
within that, I kind of heard it 2 or 3 times. Within that, I guess education is a massive part of that.
Oh, it's massive. Absolutely. 70% of consumers have no idea what an NFT is.
Yeah. So, have you done much work in that space, Jeremy?
Not yet. Interesting. Absolutely fascinating. Just on awareness alone.
Certainly.
Yeah.
We don't really talk about NFTs when we're going out to a mass market. We talk about digital collectibles because that in itself is a barrier. Right?
What is your kind of the way you overcome the third point? So about the benefit of it, because my boyfriend's quite into it as well, and I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It's about demonstrating the use case, and we have environments that you can showcase and how you can engage and use AR and all this sort of stuff.
Okay.
And let's say you have bought a Top Gun helmet, right? Let's say you bought a Top Gun helmet, and I can use my AR app, put it on your head, and play with it like that, share it with my friends, those sorts of things. Which is, one, it's more engaging than having just something on your shelf. 2, it's more accessible because you think, well, all right, I don't have $250,000 to buy Tom Cruise's actual helmet he used in the movie, but I have got $20 I can spend on a virtual helmet.
And I guess more practical, I might be completely wrong in saying this, by the way, so you'll have to correct me.
Yeah.
Is it more like so people collect football programs when they go to games? There could be a digital version of that where it's limited in number, so I guess that's a more tangible, practical way.
Absolutely, and the whole rarity is a massive part of it as well.
Yeah.
In terms of how many you create, knowing you've got a 1 of 1 or a 1 of 10 adds a lot more value to going, well, I've got a football program, but there might be a million of them out there, right? So.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else got any thoughts since this morning of what they'd actually like to get real clarity on from their customers?
Well, we've got some really specific examples we're testing at the moment. So, one things we're trying is when someone places an order with us, we're giving them a call within a day before their first order arrives, and just trying to like, hey, how you get on? Is there any questions about? Just trying to educate them about the product, let them know, and how. We're literally testing it at the moment this week. It'd just be interesting. One, do you think that would be helpful? I don't want to come across as being intrusive, and I also don't want to come across. It can't be salesy. So like, one, would that be helpful? Two, when would be a good time to get a call like that? Would it be at lunchtime? Would it be in the evening? Would it be before work? Would it be at the weekend? Yeah, like that's a very specific example. We're literally testing at the moment.
What are you trialing at the moment then?
So like, we call it check-in calls, welcome calls. Hey, thanks for placing your first order with us yesterday. Let's see, do you have any questions? This is how the best way to take it, blah, 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 blah. Like, just trying to be helpful.
What's your age demographic like?
It's family, so it's like 30 to 65 is that, because they're quite expensive. You're paying 35, 40 pounds per box of vitamin C. So it's that the sort of demographic range. Like, lots of families take it. So yeah, but yeah, we're trialing this at the moment just because we have issues where people go, oh, I didn't actually know you can mix it with water, or I didn't know X, Y, and Z. We're just trying to educate them about the products before it causes issues.
And do you find with it being quite broad of 30 to 65,
yeah,
is there a specific end of that you think needs the call more so?
We don't have the data at the moment. We're basically doing all of this as we go. Like every week where things are happening, like we're doing it from a standing start basically. But yeah, we are trying to become more data driven, like from all areas of the business. But we've never done any market research. One good thing we have done, we've started doing. So we've gone a bit full circle. We started the business, and we grew the business through trade shows, and then we were like, okay, let's go everything online. So then we went everything online, and then now we've actually found it's much easier to acquire business if people go back at trade shows. So we're like, and then we're doing pop-ups. We're at the Trafford Centre last week. We're going to be like doing all of these various pop-ups, and so that means you're able to speak to customers. Like I was at the London Marathon registration last week. And it was just like, you're able to speak to customers, understand their pain points. So you understand what our customers are, like the problems are, but it's just like, specifically customers who have acquired online, doing those check-in calls and just making sure they understand everything.
So the check-in calls and the trade shows then, again, a bit educational.
Yes,
and,
yes.
You know, how big is that, Jeremy, from what you see in terms of just actually educating people on products?
Multiple different forms of this battle. So to the point of awareness, like awareness is the very first layer of the funnel, but to test different methodologies about how awareness can work and how to match your brand and what it is today to the consumers you're trying to unlock, that's really hard. So an example I often like most is, who here has heard of Manscaped?
I've heard that.
Very few people ever admit to being a customer. It's a for those who don't know, it's a personal grooming product for your hair for men, but not for your head. I'll stop there. Really high quality product, like really well built, beautiful tone of voice. It's like this brilliantly built product, but it has this kind of American college humor tone of voice. Worked really well in America, and they used our product to try to figure out how to take that same set of things and to launch it into Europe. So like that American college humor does not go down well at all in Germany. The English version of that is a bit like, you know, Bake Off humor versus American MasterChef. We were talking about that earlier, like completely different things that are almost impossible to understand. So how you take this kind of American frat boy college humor brand and deploy it into Northern Italy versus Southern Italy, France versus Germany, the Nordics versus UK, Scotland versus Ireland, like it needs to be very different. So taking what is good about them and what they stand for and then figuring out how to localize it without a Z, that was really important for them. And like awareness is half the battle, but then how to actually talk to the consumers and based on what they care about and what they think is funny rather than what you know is funny for your existing consumers, that's often a big gap. And it sounds like you have a bit of that going as well.
Yeah, it's really difficult. And we're doing the same with launching in Germany, France and all these things. So like tone of voice becomes even more important then.
Yeah.
And translation as well. So we work with Klarna, and they, you might have seen it, they had that big ASAP Rocky campaign.
Yeah.
So their most successful campaigns, and they were launching it in a number of their European markets. And they sort of ran the translation via, I think it was Italian customers, and they were like, do you get it? And then Italian customers in their research were like, yeah. And then they were like, what does it mean? and the actual responses that they got back to what it meant was completely different to what they had intended it to mean. So there's such nuances in the languages and how you position those things as you expand in different markets, which Klarna have obviously done well at because they've expanded hugely, but they've had to check it at every part of the process.
There's also the instances where people get this wrong. So does anyone remember that Peloton campaign where it was basically just a load of like asses, like it was so wrong. And that like has become one of the most notorious campaigns of recent years. And you think that Peloton, having all the funding in the world, all of the brand cachet in the world, all of the ability to buy whatever they want and like influence whatever they want, if they just tested that ad with 100 people outside their own office, they would have got back the reaction that the world had to that campaign.
They've done that twice though, haven't they?
Oh, they've done it multiple times. Like they should be in a test client. That would be helpful for them. I'm a bit biased on that though. But if they just opened their doors and asked 100 consumers, is this good or bad, they would have heard this is actually apocalyptic ad and this is going to flop and you are going to wipe a whole bunch of money off your share value. And that was an apocalypse. So to your point, like awareness and testing of like specific aspects are important, but when it comes to specific campaigns, if you've got any doubt over it, it's now easy to test it and just go for it because you might avoid a Peloton mega backlash and be branded sexist forever.
Did they lose a lot of sales because of that?
Yeah. You know, is it directly attributable? But I think in the couple of weeks afterwards, they wiped several $1 billion off their market cap. Is it because of the backlash? Is it because of the sales figures? Is it because of the fundamentals? Was it beta or alpha? Unclear, but like, it wasn't good news for them.
Also a very high price point.
Yeah.
$3,000 or something.
And they've just chopped it. So they've just chopped their price point. Have you ever seen a Porsche go on sale?
Yeah.
Peloton is no longer Porsche. It's now Toyota.
I think they had 200 containers stuck at LA ports as well.
Whoops.
So they're really struggling.
Big whoops. Of the old bikes, not the new ones. And I think hence the slash.
It was really bad.
Oh, so bad.
Any others?
Global supply chains. That's another.
Any others of what clarity we'd like from our customers from this end of the table?
I don't want to turn this into a crypto conversation, but I think like intent is like where we bring people in, like we bring them into a game, but then the game has both like typical video game stuff, but then there's the speculative area of NFTs in general, the market area, and it's very hard to tell, are you coming in for speculative or are you coming in for the game? You can tell later, but when they come in it's much harder to work that out and to talk to them the right way, because especially when you're dealing with game people, a few dollars, that's a reasonable amount. Dealing with crypto people, a few dollars is nothing. You can ask them for $1,000 and it's fine, but then you do that with games and they're like, what? So getting that right earlier is the question that I would like to know, like why are you here?
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. Jeremy, should we jump onto your...
Yeah, this is just the last thing, just to finish on something fun, and then I always feel guilty when there's a really good discussion happening and then we interrupt it by talking about something specific. So I'm going to finish on the culmination of this research is we took all of the best answers, all of the best possible things that customers said that they want in their subscription products, and also all of the worst. Because, and I think this is in front of everyone here on the table, if you take all of the things that people want from their subscription businesses, here's what you get. You get this crazy, we call it subscription Stein's monster. It's like perfect in every way, but also it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Like all the different traits of it, it's wonderful, it's terrible, but these things don't fit together. But we thought if we try and do this thing where we take all of the top ranked answer options according to consumers and we take all of those best things and we put them together, what does it look like? And we combined it also with some research about which categories and products are missing from subscription world that you wish that you had, and we turned that into something real. We also took all of the worst answers and turned that into a subscription product, because if bad defines good, we thought we'd really illustrate what bad actually is to make it be terrible. So we call this subscription Stein's monster, and when we turned it into some actual products, so I'm going to flip us ahead on the laptops a couple of pages to the page that has Snackapalooza, and I'm going to really, this may not work very well. I'm going to say click along with me. So here is the first, this is the best subscription box that really should exist. It's called Snackapalooza, and click. It is a service where you can try snacks from around the world. 1 month it's Korea, 1 month it's Japan, 1 month is Britain, some ideas on that, Mexico, etc. And this was one of the top things after alcohol and marijuana, subscription products that people really wanted in the United States. There's a gap in the market for this after alcohol and marijuana subscriptions, which were by far away the number 1 and 2, which is interesting in itself.
Beer 52 did this for beer.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And like, there's lots of American companies doing it, but consumers see a gap. No one's doing it well yet. Click top right, gourmet snacks chosen by locals delivered to you at local prices. So this is where local people pick it for you and they're buying it at their price. We are in Hong Kong, we are getting someone going around markets, picking things off the shelves, putting it in my box and sending it to me. That's what it feels like. Click highest quality, directly from the local buyer, they choose it, there's no middle person, we're not buying from suppliers, it's literally like we've got a friend in Hong Kong who's sending us their favourite snacks. Click 50% off the first delivery. We saw the different combinations of price points, but by far and away the most powerful is something free that has an immediate benefit with no commitment, the financial discount rate consumers have, and the ability to get something tangible from the very beginning. 50% off the first delivery, by far and away the most powerful promotion. Click.
Do you think the reason percentage works is just because like, it's so simple, people just halve it? You know what I mean? Because we were saying earlier it's just so intangible to say like 10%, but it's just like 50% is just so simple. That
consumers can't do math.
Yeah.
Immediacy is really important, and free or most tangible. Like
yeah, so that, but obviously 50% is like still a percentage, but it's because it's half, right? It's so simple to consume anyone. Most people can.
Yeah.
So on that note, 50% is better than 60%, or is that not? It doesn't work in the same.
That would be interesting to test.
Yeah, because that's what I'm thinking, is that I actually think 50% would work better almost because people then could just so simply see it. I don't know,
Or we could,
does that value the product as well?
We could rank those as well. Is 50% better or 50% off your first delivery better or worse than second delivery free, first one full price, which is the same thing.
Yeah.
This is interesting. The other thing is, okay, is a percentage better or actually a gift card? So with a percentage, there's an obligation to still spend some money, whereas like if it's a £20 gift card, it might, if the product's £40, it's the same thing. But is that more appealing proposition? Something we're testing at the moment as well.
Yeah. There's so many wild models out there for that, and often this is a thing where you need to take out of a range of ideas, test them with consumers, what might be the top 3, but then test them for real. Like what actually happens and what will actually convert in with your branding, your product, your channels, your marketing mix. Like you will find out which one works best. We can help you figure out, kind of broadly where to look and how to not Peloton it. Yeah. But then ABC test a whole bunch of things and you'll quickly find out that one of them works for you best in reality. I'm really working hard on that as well. So let's keep going. So it has free delivery within a 1 hour window, and you choose each time when that is. Obviously that's impossible, but that's what consumers want. If someone can create that, that's going to be an amazing product. Click. You can pause or cancel any time, you can skip any delivery, and you do it in a channel that suits us. Loads of consumers talked about how I just want to WhatsApp you, I don't want to call you, I don't want to email you, I don't want to log in, etc. There's a whole bunch of research around when it comes to updating your payment details for your credit cards. If you make that a non-logged in event, just such a simple thing, that is like 40-50% of churn for some monthly $20 and under subscriptions is from credit card detail updates. There's specific methods to do that well, but here we have do it in a way that suits me. WhatsApp is a channel that most brands don't use. You can try before you buy. We are 5-star reviewed on Trustpilot, but this idea that we also publish the worst reviews, this is useful for 2 reasons. One, we are being very honest with you about why people like this and why people don't like it. Also, what causes people to leave us. That's also really good news for us as a business, because if we're telling you the churn reasons up front, we won't spend money acquiring customers that are destined to churn. If we say why people leave up front, we won't acquire those customers, and those are the worst CAC LTV ratio customers will ever get. Find your worst customers, or even better, tell people what makes your worst customers and get them to leave before they even sign up. That's controversial, but this idea came across really well with consumers. Go for a 12-month plan, get the first 2 months free. It's the worst offer, but people love it. Inexplicable, but happens. All of our packaging evaporates magically into pure oxygen after 3 days. Sustainability is really important, and this is the ultimate solution. And then last one, if you share your snacks with your friends, you can have a bulk buying party and throw it all together and get benefits, and you can get, 20 packets of dried squid as opposed to just the one that you tried last month, which is quite fun. But this, in aggregate, is the ultimate subscription product that doesn't exist according to American consumers, and exactly how it should be when you put all the things together, trying to take it beyond Subscription Giant's Monster into something that actually could exist. And when I presented this in Dallas, someone came up to me and said, I've actually just started a Korean snack box subscription company, and I'm going to be stealing half of these ideas. I'm like, looking forward to seeing how you conquer that packaging preparation to one thing. And they were like,
I can't wait till that pops up and that's the logo.
Exactly. That would be so much fun. And then we also did, just for fun, the worst possible subscription box on the next page. Anyone who knows anything about Icelandic food, you may be able to guess where this is going.
So the tinned food. Fish. I've tried that, it's awful.
So much worse. So there is a product in Iceland called hakal, which is click. It is fermented shark meat that is either tinned or served in a package. Little cubes of fermented shark meat, and it's so bad that when you eat it, you have to have a shot of aquavit to basically just dishwasher your face. And you often have to open it underwater in a bucket of liquid. Otherwise people downwind and you get very unhappy. Celebrity influencers were by far the worst possible way to promote a product. So this one is promoted by both Jake and Logan Paul, who were joint last in our research of the most hated American influencer celebrities. And you get 50% off, but off your 7th box. And you're welcome. You got the discount, but in a way that you absolutely hate. People hate this offer. 50% off your 7th box is literally worse than your 7th box costs double. It's by far the worst performing thing. We got silly. You can click Taste Limited Edition Shark Fermentations, and we have affiliate marketing with Comcast, America's most hated brand. The worst service, the worst credibility, the worst customer experience. Comcast is Harklebock's best friend. And you can get convenient delivery to your local store, and I did this in Texas, they really hate Trader Joe's, which is a kind of a yuppie New York, New England, Connecticut thing where you get lots of organic products. It's like Whole Foods, but a bit wankier. And you have to go to Trader Joe's, which Texans absolutely hate. And you also have to pay $1 every time you pick it up because you're welcome. And it's at the back of the store next to the milk, obviously. The worst possible way to do delivery is convenient delivery to your local store, but one that we picked and you have to charge for it. -5 Trustpilot score, which is quite fun, paired with Comcast. That's a terrible idea. And you order it and it arrives 5 weeks later and you're welcome because it actually fermented a bit more in transit and it's even more rotten, the shark meat, than it was when it left our flavour, and you are welcome for that extra flavour. So nice. This specific point around having high latency between when I order and when it gets delivered was a really big problem for consumers, and we're going to do probably more research on that in future. You can't WhatsApp us. You can call us at our head office, which is in Iceland, on +354, and you can call our HQ between 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. 4 days a week because Iceland has a 4-day work week, but none of the Texans I spoke with knew which 4 days that was or what time zone Iceland was in, and they were like, this is the least helpful possible support method that we could ever get. And deliveries are weekly during and after the first month, but remember that when you sign up, you can try Harklebox for 1 month with a 0% discount, but that's 4 deliveries, and after 12 deliveries, by giving us loads of money, you can join our elite members club, and you get to skip 1 delivery in future. So you get flexibility, but you have to earn it by committing to get 12 boxes of this thing. And when you put this all together, this is the worst possible subscription product with the worst thing inside it, with the worst possible way of delivering it, with the worst possible recommendations, with the worst possible influence, the worst service, and the worst level of convenience. So put that all together. I hope that these 2 things, both the box that should exist but doesn't, and the one that should never exist, give us a couple of lessons to take back to our businesses and learn about things that we could do differently. If only one thing of these is interesting, then I think hopefully we've accomplished why we came here today, which is to open our eyes to something new based on customer preferences. And thanks everyone very much for coming. It's been a pleasure to hear everyone chat. And most importantly, wanted to help everyone get back to talking to each other, because that's why we're here to learn from each other as well as from us. So thank you for coming. And see you soon.
Yeah, yeah, just from our side, thank you for everyone making it for an early morning session. Hope you'll agree it's well worth it though. Some very interesting things, some bits I thought would never come up. I'm surprised they weren't there, and I love this thing as well, so can't wait to see that come out as a logo. But no, Jeremy, thanks once again for yourself and Sarah and the rest of the Attest team for making this possible. We have plenty more sessions. I believe the next one is pitch night, which we have coming up on the 1st of December, Will. So yeah, do let us know if you'd like to attend that, or if you're raising, then let Will know as well over the next sort of year or so. Then Will is your man to talk to. But no, thank you all once again, and we hope to see you soon.
Thanks, James.
Thank you.